Left 4 Dead 2 has always been one of the most iconic zombie video games to me. So I went ahead and asked myself the question, how do people that speedrun this game actually speedrun this game? And after looking at the Left 4 Dead 2 speedrun, I gotta say it's pretty impressive how fast these players go through this game. And seeing all the tricks and nuances that come with this run is pretty impressive. While you wouldn't maybe think that Left 4 Dead 2 is one of those games with a lot of RNG, there's actually quite a bit of RNG that can happen during a run. But anyways, let's go ahead and break down the Left 4 Dead 2 speedrun. But before we get into the actual run, huge shout out to JurasPatryk, who's the runner that helped us with research for this video and provided us with the footage. So make sure you check out his links in the description down below. So to start things off, we're gonna be talking about the main campaign solo category, which is the most ranked category in Left 4 Dead 2 speedrunning. So the rules of the category are basically you have to play through all the campaigns that the game came with. This includes Dead Center, Dark Carnival, Swamp Fever, Hard Rain, and the Parish. But for the speedrun, it doesn't matter in which order you run it in. Well, actually it does matter, but you'll see later what I mean by that. But just know that the rules don't state you have to do them in the order they released in. You can do them in any order. So for this run, we're going to be starting off on Dark Carnival, which I think is the main one to start on. Basically, the game starts on Expert, even though the category is on Easy. This is because on Easy, you cannot damage the teammates, which are bots. So every game you load up on Left 4 Dead 2, there's going to be 3 AI bots with you if you play solo. You actually start off the speedrun by downing all the AI teammates that you have in your game. This is because at the end of each level there's a save room, and all the players need to be in the save room for the level to end. And the bots can get stuck, they can be slow, they can just waste your time, so you want to get rid of them at the beginning of each level. And once the runners have downed the bots, they actually use a macro key to change the difficulty from Expert to Easy. And this is where we get into the main part of what this run is gonna look like. It's gonna be a lot of bunny hopping, and a lot of times there's not gonna be much action. They're just gonna be moving very fast through the levels by the means of bunny hopping. If you don't know what bunny hopping is, it is basically you constantly hop forward to gain momentum, which is something that you can do in the Swords engine and in many other games like Quake, where I think it originates from. Actually, some levels, they bunny hop so fast that the runners themselves don't even segment the run by the levels. They just segment them by the tricks they're gonna have to set up, because the time in between tricks is so short, even if there's levels in between. And while there's a lot of fast moving, and sometimes a level will be completely just bunny hopping, there's a lot of RNG to the game. From normal infected spawns, special infected spawns, weapon spawns, item spawns. And while there is a lot of RNG in this run, this also means there's good replayability for the runners, and it adds that little spice of chasing the perfect RNG run. Anyways, after moving up in the level a little bit, we're gonna see the first skip of the run. This is called a common boost. It's done by jumping on a common zombie's head while it's climbing. This adds their climbing momentum to the user's jump, making them go much higher. This is helpful for the whole run to get over walls or skip entire parts of levels. And shortly after the first common boost, we're gonna see another skip, which is a tank launch. Basically, you bait a tank into punching you into a tree, which puts you above the map, saving around 30 seconds since you don't have to go through an area, and then you drop down into the next part of the level. And once again, the runner changes the difficulty of the game to Expert to down the teammates, and then changes it back to Easy, which is something that he has to do throughout the whole run. And after that, he does some parkour, which is actually the deciding factor in the version that speedrunners pick for running Left 4 Dead. This parkour section is only doable in version 2.0.0.0, which is actually the patch from November 2009, and it's the main version that runners run this category on. At the end of each level, when you get into the safe house, you do a cool little trick where you start the healing animation as you enter the safe room, which cancels the animation early and then loads you into the next level. This is done every time you enter the safe room, and this is actually something I've been doing whenever I've been playing Left 4 Dead, just because it feels nice to not sit through the animation every time. After we get to the part where you have to pull the lever by the little carousel or whatever it's supposed to be, and you have to wait, there's a non-skippable section, and the gates don't open immediately, so the runners have to wait there. There's no way to get around this. But with a quick common boost, you can actually get into this god spot over here where you can't be damaged. After getting to the finale of the first campaign, which is the concert part, there's actually some weird glitch that you can do that is gonna influence the rest of the run. And it's the reason that they start off with Dark Carnival. So for some reason, if people are down in the safe zone before you start the concert part, once you start the finale, they are removed from the server even if they are bots, since the game is played on dedicated servers. So basically, they remove 2 out of the 3 bots from the server. You don't want to remove all of them since you're going to be using one bot later on in a future level for a trick. But basically, this speeds up the process of having to down your teammates at the beginning of each level and saves a ton of time throughout the run. And to prevent that one bot from getting kicked, they actually just fully kill it, which means it doesn't get kicked. For some reason, it only kicks the players who are downed. So once the concert started, they actually get into another god spot where they cannot be attacked, and it's by one of the railings. This is super useful because of the way L4D2 works. So basically, if enemies cannot path to the player, they will eventually despawn, causing the level to complete. But it is still a little faster to kill them manually if you can and if you see them. There's a little bit of RNG though at the end of this level. The speedrunner is standing in a spot where he's hoping the rescue chopper will load. If he guesses right, he will be rescued early due to the rescue frames loading in before the chopper does. This means you can get pretty unlucky in your run and just be at the wrong spot. So next we're gonna go to the Parish, which is actually the last campaign level if you play the campaign normally. And since the run is out of order, and basically you'd have to back out to the main menu to play it out of order if you're doing it normally, the runners actually have a macro to instantly load them into a level, which doesn't really affect the run, it just saves them the hassle of having to go to the main menu each time, and that's why it's allowed. And it's also pretty important to keep out the 2 bots that just got kicked at the end of Dark Carnival. Anyways, he just jumps through the early parts of this level. There's actually not a lot of things he does besides bunny hopping in this chapter. He does a few things like a crouch hop jump into a common boost to get over a fence. He uses a pipe bomb to lure zombies, which sets him up for another common boost, which gets him into the final area of this chapter. He then actually fails at one of the crouch jumps, but it's actually okay because he can quickly recover with a common boost to get over a van. And then when he gets to the bridge section, he's actually careful not to set off the alarms on the cars, which would spawn in the horde and probably slow him down quite a bit. When he gets to the actual bridge, he kind of just uses adrenaline shots and running across the bridge as fast as possible. There isn't actually a lot of specific tricks or anything here. He just runs through and jumps across the bridge and finishes this chapter. Which actually takes us to Dead Center, which if you would be playing the campaign normally, would be the first level in this game. He actually just runs down through the building at first, gets to the balconies, which he then drops down onto a different balcony, which lets him skip a whole floor. He then makes his way to the elevator, where he actually sets up a bug that lets him get out of the elevator. And basically, you do it by standing in the doorway of the elevator while it's closing. And this actually puts you on top of the elevator, which allows you to just straight up drop down through a hole in the other elevator next to you. Which actually saves quite a bit of time, where you would normally have to wait for the elevator, then do the elevator ride, and then, you know, continue from there. And he actually gets to the part pretty quickly where you have to save the cola for the one guy that's gonna blow up the barricade to let you through. And here he actually can't avoid spawning in the horde, and there's no god spot he can hide in, and you have to take the cola to the guy anyways to progress. So what he does is he picked up a pipe bomb earlier, which he now uses to lure the zombies away from the entrance, and then he can make his clean escape and get to the guy quickly. And since he delivered the cola and did all that stuff, he quickly gets to the part with the mall afterwards. And actually here you're gonna see the reason why he kept one bot alive. It's one of the tricks you have to set up with the bot. Basically, since there is a downed player in the safe room, the horde does not spawn in when you use the elevator down to the mall. So basically, you're gonna be down there without the horde spawned in, so you just have free leeway to pick up all the gas cans and stack them at the car, which he does real quick here. The horde actually only spawns in when he starts putting the gas in the car, which actually, after he uses an adrenaline shot that he picked up earlier to speed up the process of filling the gas into the car, he just does it real quick and just gets out of there, finishes the level. Easy peasy, right? And then we're on to Hard Rain, which, surprise surprise, he starts off with bunny hopping like normally, just flying through the level like you would expect him to at this point. But actually, shortly after starting this chapter, you can see some of the RNG that can happen in this game. A tank spawns and he actually gets pinned in a corner by it, which looks really scary if you're in like a speedrun and you're 30 minutes in and the tank is about to kill you, like just some RNG enemy is about to ruin your whole run. Luckily, he finds a small gap to escape and has a boomermobile, which also helps him. He then goes on to look for a propane tank at this target, which is another RNG random chance that it's gonna spawn at a certain spot. And the reason he needs to find this propane tank is actually so he can set up for an insane trick right now. He actually runs up the building with the propane tank and then jumps off the building, and right as he's jumping off, he throws the propane tank in front of him, which then he shoots mid-air, which cushions his fall and actually prevents him from dying here. Another important part of this chapter is that you need to find adrenaline shots. The levels are actually getting more and more flooded from the rain, and the water slows you down when you walk through it. So by using the adrenaline shots, you can just move quicker through the water. But these adrenaline shots are random spawns, so it can be hard to find them. So basically, when you get to the last part where it's really flooded and you have to backtrack through the level you just went through, you want to make sure you remember the adrenaline shot spawns from when you just passed through, which makes it a lot easier to find them when you actually need them right now. And basically, the adrenaline shots are gonna help him get through this part really quickly. There's also some smaller parkour he does to avoid water if possible. And when he gets to the finale of this chapter at the diner, there's just more waiting in a spot where the infected have trouble pathing to the player, so they despawn once again, just like earlier. So basically, he just stands here at the end and just occasionally shoots zombies to move things along quicker. But overall, there isn't really anything you can do to speed this up, since this is like a scripted part of the level. But after finishing this chapter, we're on to the last one, which is Swamp Fever. And actually, right at the beginning, where you have to wait for the boat usually, there's a new glitch that was recently discovered called the Infinite Stumble, which actually helps you skip this section. So basically, the way the Infinite Stumble works is, if you start stumbling and switch weapons while you're in the stumble animation, you can keep looping that animation. And by shooting a propane tank and getting hit by it, he starts the stumble animation and then quickly switches weapons over and over again to float across the gap that you usually would have to take the boat through. This obviously skips the boat ride, but it also skips the trigger for the horde. And since this level also has a lot of water, he just keeps picking up adrenaline shots again to stop the slow from the water. He actually gets to the last part of the chapter really quickly here. When he spawns in for the last level though, he makes sure he downs the bot with a pistol since it does less damage to him and he needs the bot to be healthy for a trick. So once he gets to the part where you have to wait for the boat at the big house, he runs to the staircase after triggering the boat to come in and gets himself stuck by crouching and uncrouching. In L4D2, if you are stuck or incapable of moving at all, you will be teleported to your companion. And since he didn't kill the companion earlier in the safe room, he actually gets teleported to the companion. And now that he got teleported, he's actually at the outside of the last part. And while he's waiting for the horde to despawn, he's actually looking for some things like pipe bombs or adrenaline shots, which then, when he has to make a run for the boat, help him speed it up quicker. And after the tank and the zombies die, he just runs to the end, which completes this run. And the final time he clocks in is 48 minutes and 47 seconds, which is insanely fast. This was a very impressive run, and a lot of precise setup and pulling off tricks at the right moment was required. Just like the constant way of moving was so impressive. The way they bunny hop through everything while doing parkour, while doing common boosts into certain spots, was just a ton of fun to watch. But anyways guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this run. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe for more videos, turn on notifications so you get notified when we upload stuff like this. Make sure you follow me and Elijah on Twitter at RocketSlothLuke for me and at RocketElijah for Elijah. But anyways, that's it for today guys. See you guys next time with a brand new video.